Hello and welcome to Culture Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and today we are wrapping up our review of Mark Waid's run on Fantastic Four 509 through 511. Again, we're not reviewing all of the Mark Waid issues, but this is a good stopping point, I think. Today we'll be reviewing Hereafter, and then we're going to talk about a side story, Doctor Doom and Doctor Strange, The Triumph and Torment. We thought it would be a nice little tie-in because of the
Yeah,
subject matter. So that is the plan for today.
I
Uh,
think that we wanted to go ahead and, if you wanted to, I guess, briefly talk about, if we're talking about Fantastic Four today, we could talk about the other thing that happened.
right, the Fantastic Four trailer. I forgot all about that. Yes, there was a trailer last week,
As you should have.
and that kind of tells you our reaction to the trailer. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It just kind of was.
Yeah, yeah. I feel nothing. That's
I feel like it was a what do you call it, like a test footage of, hey, look, here's what the thing looks like. We pulled it off. See, and that was it. That's what the trailer felt like. Other than a split-second look at Galactus from the back of his head. But if you've been reading the news for the past year, you know that Galactus was cast a year ago, that he's in the film, so that's not a surprise.
I have a bad feeling. Um, so you didn't watch Quantumania, right?
No.
But you've seen Modoc.
Yes.
I am concerned that Galactus. There's a possibility that Galactus may look as bad, if not worse, than Modoc. I just have this feeling.
I cannot see that happening. I may be more concerned with what Silver Surfer is going to look like.
Uh,
Uh,
I mean, that's not hard. Silver
you say
Surfer.
it's not. You say it's not hard to pull off,
Yeah.
but you never know.
Well, not just that. Like, okay, so the difference is something like Galactus has never been pulled off well. But I mean, Rise of Silver Surfer, the Lawrence Fishburne Silver Surfer, that looked perfect to me.
Yeah. Um, I don't know. We also got Herbie the robot, which okay, yay, whatever. you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that so I'm starting to see oh, what's it called? Whenever you want to make sure that things are like brand synergy. um there's definitely some brand synergy going on that I'm noticing. Because for those of you who are playing Marvel Rivals, um there's the game mode that's kind of like Payload from TF2, where you got to like escort the thing to the end. In the Midtown map, I think you have to get Herbie to the Baxter Building.
Hmm.
So like, it's not like everybody knows who Herbie is now, but like my friends who like are kind of normies, they know who Herbie is now because of the game. So there's definitely some brand synergy happening. Um, but yeah, that's just the only other thing I noticed. You noticed something that I didn't even think about, and that is that Sue and Reed have zero chemistry.
Yeah, I felt nothing between the two of them.
Yeah, I don't, I don't. How do you
I,
now that you've seen Pedro like kind of do his? How do you feel about it?
I don't know why he didn't shave the mustache. I just feel like it would look so much better. And then I didn't really feel anything from Sue herself either. She didn't seem like the Invisible Woman to me. It just, I don't know, those two felt off. I was fine with Thing and Torch.
Which is the weirdest thing. Well, I will say I think the thing himself actually looks really bad. Um, like the whole forehead thing. I know that they're trying to like adapt the actual Jack Kirby art
Hmm.
to the screen with the forehead. I don't think it comes off very well.
I was fine with thing. I did notice that they threw him in a sweater so they wouldn't have to animate all that rock and everything. Um, yeah, and we barely saw Human Torch. Like, he's looked fine. I don't know. And then we got a glimpse of John Malkovich, who I assume is playing Red Ghost. I mean, that's who he looks like, but he also could be Mole Man. He could be Puppet Master. We don't know.
Help me out with this because people have been saying they've been throwing around Red Ghost a lot. I don't know who that is.
We've read a comic book of him. He's the guy that has the three monkeys that's with him.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha.
The Russian astronaut guy. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and so like, is his whole thing like trying to replicate the accident, or
Yeah. I think from what I've heard and what I've read is that this movie's gonna have like a quick montage of them fighting other villains. So it's gonna be like, oh, here's some fighting Mole Man. Oh, here's some fighting Red Ghost. Just showing that they're heroes in the '60s.
well, in the retrofuturistic timeline of what they?
Yeah, this alternate timeline, whatever. Yeah.
I got to be honest, like, well, we're gonna move on eventually. Part of this is just me stalling for time as I fix some things in our slideshow, but also uh, I now that we've seen it, I think the retrofuturism is a bad idea and just a stupid gimmick.
I just wish it was the '60s. I don't need all this.
Yeah, like they could have been superheroes in the '60s,
Yeah,
and
just
then
make it Mad Men and just all of a sudden there's four people with powers. What? And
and then like well, I maybe they were trying. Well, that's not gonna work though, because like, in theory, maybe they were trying to avoid like another Captain America situation where like they were frozen in time and or however, and now they're in the main time, but they're gonna be dealing with some culture shock anyway, right?
I wonder if. See, I'm giving them a lot of faith.
You're giving them too much faith. I want you to give this much. I dare you to give this much faith to Captain America,
The new one?
the new one. Yeah.
No, no, I can't. I can't.
Well,
Oh,
this deserves the same amount of faith.
well, I mean, I could see another trailer and go, "Oh, this is terrible," or really fall in love with this. I don't know. There wasn't enough shown, and they could set up that they're explorers. They're used to being thrown into weird worlds, and so when they get thrown into this new timeline, it's, oh, okay, yeah, we're good to go. I don't know.
But isn't that also just kind of boring? That like no reaction to being thrown into like another dimension. Like you kind of lose the
So the theory is their next appearance. We don't know this for a fact. They haven't really said. The theory is the next appearance for these guys is Avengers Doomsday, and that I don't want to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes of Avengers Doomsday going, oh, Phase 4 have to get used to whatever. I want them ready to go.
well, yeah. I mean, Cap was for the
Well, yeah,
most
Cap
part, right?
was pretty quick. Yeah, I guess that
Yeah,
they did handle Cap's transition pretty quick.
yeah, and like
He just punched a a punching bag, was ready to
yeah,
go.
and then they did the culture shock in the next movie, like his next movie with like the,
Yeah,
the list and all that. Plus, you can make small, tiny references to the fact that he doesn't get references. Um,
it'd be funny if like they had it was like the reverse. Like Thing tries to use a blender and he's like trying to use voice commands and stuff. It's like doesn't work. It's like
that that would be fun.
yeah, because they had all this advanced technology through Reed.
But yeah,
So
just in general, I'm done stalling.
okay,
Just
I
just
the
in
best
general, I
description I heard of this movie was whelmed. It wasn't overwhelming, wasn't underwhelming. It was just whelmed.
whenever you told me that, I had to go back and watch Young Justice because it's just the best. Like,
Yeah,
I haven't watched much of season 3 and none of season 4, but like those first 2 seasons are like the greatest cartoon in superhero history. So,
yeah.
and I hot take, I really like season 2. I know a lot of people don't like, but
That's the one with the Blue Beetle stuff and
yeah,
the
hmm
yeah. Yep. That was the Reach. Is that what they were called?
the reach, yeah.
Yeah, that was fine. Uh, I never did finish season 4, and it just
Season 4 is odd, right?
is it? I don't know. I didn't get that far.
Oh,
It was the what's the future group? Uh,
Legion,
Legion. Yeah, it was Legion.
yeah. Which
So
I think it would be fun if we get to like future foundations to also alongside read Legion of Superheroes to compare and contrast.
I've read some of Legion by Wade. It was a long time ago, but I have read some of it. So
I think so. Jonathan Hickman himself has even said that he said himself that Legion of Superheroes is his favorite comic book, and so I need him to like get on that and write a Legion of Superheroes run.
yeah, that would be cool. But I mean, he's Marvel gives him way too much money, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. And what's funny is if you think about it, it makes total sense that Legion of Superheroes is his favorite comic book because every comic book he writes, he turns into Legion of Superheroes.
Sure.
Like, how many characters do X Men really have at one time, except in the Jonathan Hickman run?
Who's who's the run of Legion? Or is it Jim Shooter that everybody talks about?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, that might be a cool to visit at sometime in the future. So
yeah, definitely.
all right,
But yeah, yeah.
let's get to Hereafter.
Hmm.
Um, so just a really quick recap, as you can see on the screen. Oh, I guess we should say spoilers,
Oh, of course, of course.
since those are pretty big spoilers there on the screen. Where last we left off, Reed had tried to. They took over Latveria, the Fantastic Four did, and they were trying to make everything right while Reed was secretly building a prison for himself and Doom to be in all eternity because he could never let Doom um, escape again, do what he did to his family, where he sent Franklin to hell. That's a crazy sentence I just said. So, um, Doom escaped the prison by jumping into different bodies of the Fantastic Four, ended up in the body of Thing and was ripping Johnny apart and forced Reed to kill his best friend Thing. And that's where we left
Yeah.
off.
Which, yeah, I did not expect. I did not expect that twist where he actually does kill the thing. I thought there was going to be some sort of Deus ex machina or whatever. But no, he killed the thing.
Yeah, and this story kind of is a Deus Ex Machina, like literally. But we'll get there.
Yeah, yeah. I'll
We'll get there.
okay, okay, okay.
So we get a nice little flashback of what happened immediately after when he was trying to save the Thing. He's trying to jolt him back to life. He's doing all this stuff, trying all this stuff, and finally they're like, "Dude, it's time to call it. It's over, Reed." And like Nick Fury's there, all the military's there. They're all pointing guns at him, and he's like, "What are you talking about? We gotta save him." They go, "You've been trying to save him for an hour," and yeah, just seeing Reed give up, it's sad. you know, it
Hmm.
um It's just, he's the guy that he doesn't fail. You go ahead and jump to the next slide, I think.
I,
Um, let's see. Yeah, just the
mhm.
when he realizes, oh, you've been trying for an hour to
That's
save
right.
me.
And he got two-faced too.
Yes, yes. Doom burn off part of his face. And it's a nice visual image of the effect that Doom has had on his family. He really, you can see like the fingerprints of Doom on his face there. And yeah, they've really been through it. And so we kind of jump ahead, and the Fantastic Four have basically split up. And we'll keep it on this image here for a minute because I want to come back to this. Um, Basically, the army has taken Doom's body, or not Doom, sorry, Thing's body, because Thing donated his body to them so they could study it, maybe use it, to help people in the future. Um, Johnny has, he went to go get some, a job to try to make money as a mechanic. The military has seized all their patents and stuff, and Sue has left to go, took the kids to go live with Alicia Masters, who was Thing's on again, off again girlfriend at this point. Um, so we see that Reed's lab, he's written all over it where he's trying to figure out, how do I save my friend? And I just wanted to point out this note. And, I'm going to throw a little criticism at Mark Wade. That says body loss average 25 grams at moment of death, mass unaccounted for. This is a famous urban legend. I can't remember the scientist who. There was something that he was measuring bodies at the time of death and all this. It came up that when you die, 25 grams of your body, like the weight shifts 25 grams.
And that's the soul leaving your body.
Yeah, yeah, and that's since been disproven at some point. But it's one of those things where it's a trap that writers fall into when you have to be really careful when you are writing the smartest man in the Marvel universe, or one of the smartest men in the Marvel universe, and then here's this thing that has been proven false that he believes.
I think so. I've got two things. I think that
Hmm.
this works if it's Doctor Strange.
Sure, yeah,
Um, Secondly, I don't know if he necessarily believes it.
and maybe yeah, just he's heard this theory and he's just yeah,
He's heard this theory and he is just desperate because like that throughout this entire portion, it's just desperation out of Reed.
sure, yeah, yeah, I get it. He's just grasping at anything that makes sense. But I just wanted to throw that out that you
Oh
know
yeah.
be
Well,
careful when you're writing the smartest man in the world. It's really hard to write the smartest man in the world.
so I mean it's yeah, like I actually didn't notice the page. So like that's not that like that didn't even click with me until you mentioned it. And
Hmm.
so like I, I guess yeah, my mind just goes to his desperation then.
Yeah, yeah, and that's fine. We did see Johnny is hanging out with the Thing. They're cracking up. They're having fun while they're working at a mechanic. And then if you click to the next slide, you realize he's all by himself. He is dealing with this is how he's dealing with the loss. He is, Thing and Human Torch. They have this classic rivalry where they seem like they don't like each other, but they do. They're like brothers, And we just spoilers for a future run when Johnny dies. You see how it hits the Thing, and this run when Thing dies, you see how it hits Johnny, and it's just always interesting their love for each other.
It is insane to me to think it like this is how comic books work. Okay, because this is mid 2000s. Johnny dies in like 2011.
Yeah.
These two deaths are less than 50 issues apart. That just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
But that's
It,
how comic book works. They
and
come out
then
once a
in
month.
the 90s, they did a Four No More story where Reed died and Doom died. So I mean, yes, we've this happens, you know. So we then see Alicia Masters, who, if you don't know what Alicia's deal is, she is the puppet master's daughter. The puppet master has the ability to make figurines out of clay and take control of people. They're almost like voodoo dolls. He can move them around, makes you move around, he takes control of you. So Alicia is blind, but she's like a master sculptor, and she doesn't care if the thing looks like she doesn't. And so here we see that she cannot stop sculpting the thing. It's just over and over. So she's just making thing sculpture after thing sculpture.
Which, and whenever I say this, and I thought of this immediately whenever this was happening. I don't mean this in like a weird, creepy, sexual way. Um, but like I like to imagine that these are perfect because she doesn't see
Oh,
him, she feels him, you know?
yes. Oh, yeah. They are. Yeah, 100%. They would be perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not in a weird way.
No, 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 no. I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, they were spoilers again. They do later get married and Dan Slott's run. So,
You know what's something that I never realized but I can't remember why I think I was looking up Alicia Masters because I was wondering who was playing her
mhm,
in
the movie.
in the movie, and it doesn't look like she's in the new movie. Um, do you know who played her in the Fox movies?
I can sorta. I can't remember who exactly, but I do remember seeing her in the movie. Who
A-
is it?
Academy Award winner Kerry Washington.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, and she's just like barely in the movie.
yeah, yeah. It's like 2 seconds. I do remember that scene of the introducing her. Yeah. Spoilers again for Alicia Masters and the John Byrne run. She married Human Torch. So, and then there's also a run where it's her and Silver Surfer flying around the galaxy together. So, fun times. Uh, anyhow, if it she didn't actually marry Johnny Storm. Later, it's revealed it's a squirrel. So, anyhow, but let's move on. Um, this is where Sue finds out that Reed is calling everybody and say, "Hey, just want you to let you know I'm bringing him. I'm bringing him back. Bringing thing back. We're bringing Onslaught back." Yeah. So, and we see that Reed has stolen the body of Thing, and he says, "I can barely detect it, but there is still life in this body, and I'm gonna figure out how to get him back." And I'm going, and they're like, that energy somewhere, and so Johnny starts going, "Wait, are you going to heaven? What?" And I can't remember if this is where this story ends or the next one's about to begin. Um, let me pull up my images on my side so I can. Let's see. Yeah, so this is really cool to me. This is like from the early Doctor Doom stories. This is the device that Doctor Doom used to try to contact his mother's soul when he was in college. Uh, as we'll talk about later today, Doctor Doom's mom, she was a gypsy, and she made a deal with Mephisto and had her soul damned to hell.
Hmm.
And so while in college, Doom was trying to contact her, and Reed told Doom that the machine was faulty, it wasn't going to work, and it blew up in Doom's face. So Reed's going to fix the machine because he's like, well, it's not that the machine, the principle is wrong. It's just that Doom screwed up the calculations. But I can make it work so we can, you know, contact the afterlife. We can get to heaven. So I think this is pretty cool. It's fun that seeing Mark Wade keep tying it back to this old Fantastic Four history.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of um, Grant Morrison's Batman. Not in like bringing the Silver Age stuff canon through like dreams and whatnot. That's cool, but that's not what I'm talking about. But like the the Bat God Barbados.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah,
that was from like a story from the 80s. I'm trying to remember who wrote that. It was Dark Knight, Dark City, written by Peter Milligan.
yeah, and it's always cool when I don't like when people just discard the past comic history. Like it's too silly. We could never use it. I like when people try to make it work in
Mhm.
modern day. It's always fun.
Now, I will say, if you're doing it just to be cute and be like, yeah, I've read the first 5 years of Fantastic Four, calm down, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
But, but, it's not even Fantastic Four. Steve Englehart does that. In his Batman run, where he's like, I went back and I read the first 3 years of Batman for this
yeah,
story.
yeah. I get it. I get it. It can be overkill, but there's fun things that have been left behind.
Yeah.
If you read the Venom by Rick Remender, he brings back the Crime Master, which is pretty cool. So, all right, so we're in the next issue, and they have used the device, and now they've gone to heaven, and they're being attacked by angels. And this reminds me of Grant Morrison's Justice League run.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, where they also go to heaven, if I recall. It's something about the key and a war in heaven and all that crazy stuff. So, anyhow, um, yeah, so they are immediately met by, I'm just gonna call them the heavenly hosts. They're getting, fought by them, and they're like, "I thought it was supposed to be heaven. What's going on?" But they're trying to keep them out because they're not supposed to be here. And if you click the next slide, um, reads like, "We meet you no harm. There's no need for violence. Why are you fighting us?" And then if you click again, I just love this.
It was so sick.
Where the face just says, "You don't belong here," and you if you've read the Bible, the when Adam and Eve are kicked out of the garden, there's an angel guarding, you know, the garden with a flaming sword. You can just imagine that's what if someone came up to the garden, this is what what happened. It's really cool. Um, yeah. So they're getting they figure out they're getting a warning here, and we then see Ben and his brother, which I don't remember if when his brother's brought up. His brother died at a young age, but Ben and Danny have been reunited, and Ben's like, "Hey, I go talk to him. We can, I can send him back home." And uh, and Danny's like, "No, we've already broken enough rules, and you're not supposed to be admitted without a hand stamp, from St. Peter." And so anyhow, let's go on to the next slide. Um, we're still getting a lot of fallout, a lot of infighting between the fans forward about them blaming each other for what happened. Reads like, you blame me for Ben's death. And if you click the next slide, he's like, Johnny, I told you to stay, this many feet away from Doom, or else he could take over your mind. You didn't listen. If you'd backed away from Doom like I told you to, none of this would have happened. And you'll see this a lot in Fans Four where they fight with each other. There's always this infighting because they are a family, and sometimes you fight with your family. And so then we also see they're kind of being tested, like their perfect heavens are showing up.
Hmm.
And so Sue sees all their happiest moments with their kids, and then I thought this was fun. Sue's like, we shouldn't be doing this. You're having your Frankenstein moment. This is, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. It's the Jurassic Park. Hey, we should be doing this. And then we thought that Johnny's heaven was gonna be like babes and stuff, but no, he just wants to hang out with his parents that he lost.
Yeah, no, and that's a classic where it turns out that the I don't want to call Johnny a sleazeball, but kind of the
The red-blooded male teen
yeah,
character.
uh, but like he just wants to he has a noble wish, you know.
Yeah, and yeah, I like this. And Reed had he'd met Sue's dad, but he never met the mom. So this is they're all meeting for the first
Mhm.
time, and it's really nice. And then we see that you know they're still getting hit by all these different trials, the river of blood and stuff, and so they're still going through the trials. Um, so I was going to point this out. I don't know if you caught this, or at least I knew where this was going. So spoilers for later, there will be some Jack Kirby stuff in this story. That door is clearly Jack Kirby art. That is something that Jack Kirby would draw. So it's kind of the first clue that we're heading to a Jack Kirby thing. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so they're finally reunited with Ben, and this great reunion, and then we find out that there's a doorway blocking this, and that Ben hasn't been able to actually go into heaven yet. And first he thinks it's because Reed keeps trying to bring him back to life, so he's kind of stuck between life and death, that he can't get through the door. And then we're gonna find out that no, it's actually I think they would say it's actually the thing that's doing this, if I recall. So let's go on to the next issue, and let me sort my pictures real quick. All right. Um,
Where was it?
let's see. So, actually, he tells them, if you go back, okay, go back a little bit. He tells them, I think I jumped ahead in the story, but he says, this is my time. Um, it's time for me to go. And they're like, did we come all this way for nothing? And he's like, no, you came to say goodbye. And I think that's really sweet, because death is something we all have to deal with, and a lot of times we don't get a chance to say goodbye. And I just really like that scene right there, where he's like, no, you came to say goodbye, and that's it's really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't remember why Johnny's mad. I didn't. Oh, he's saying that this is Ben would never give up, and things like, what, it's life and death. You don't get a choice.
I gotta be so. Here's the thing. I think that this is my favorite line in the entire run. It ain't
Okay.
it ain't my call, big head.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a great line. It's so funny.
yeah, yeah. I like this joke where he says, "Oh, geez." He's like, "Can I say that up here?" They're like, "That's not his favorite." That's another. Yeah, yeah. There's some
Yeah.
good jokes in this. Um, yeah. And you see Reed is just they're all dealing with Reed still dealing with the trauma that I shot my friend, and you see that things start shaking and falling apart, because heaven's supposed to be a place of bliss, and Reed and all their emotions are starting to affect everything. um yeah, they didn't leave their rage behind. We see all the rocks falling around Reed. Okay, go on to the next slide here. So now we see that the door is actually, the thing is the one that's he himself is keeping himself out of heaven. So then, go on to the next one. He said, I made myself believe the problem was you, that you was holding me back, but it was me all along. You hear me? The bad times are finally over, buddy. You got to put yourself together. All this grief no more. I'm right here. And then we see this moment of best friends again, that he's, pulling his friend out of the despair, out of the depression.
Yeah.
Um, so now, Reed can't help it. He's going to open the door. you know, he
Yeah.
sees a puzzle. He's going to solve it. All right, go ahead. And then he says, my boss, God, is honored by your gesture. Or I'm sorry, he says y'all can stay. It's your choice. The four of y'all can stay, or y'all can go back. If you stay, you can bring your kids, or you can let your kids grow up, and then one day they'll be reunited with you. But as a reward for all you've done for the universe, you can stay here if you want. And they said, you know what, we're not done exploring yet. And that's the Fantastic Four for me, man. They're not done.
Yeah.
They will always explore. And then the door opens, and they're gonna walk into heaven here. Um, let's see. And then Danny says goodbye to them. And then I just want to point out this picture. The Danny Ben thing is cool, but the background, just the joy the three of the others have going into heaven. Even Reed, they all got their arms up and they're running into heaven. I just wanted to point that out. I just think it's cool.
So there was one thing I wasn't necessarily clear on.
Uh-huh.
Why are they letting from right here?
Hmm.
From right here, why are they letting Ben go?
Um, I think it was kind of a reward for everything that they've done. I think, if I recall, I don't think I saved that image, but it was kind of like a test and a reward, um, and as we see, God's gonna fix everything that Doom had done to them.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We see that God is Jack Kirby, because of course God is Jack Kirby. If you're talking about the Fantastic Four, he's like, "Well, you coming in or what?" And we see it. This is the drawing room where this is Jack Kirby's drawing room where he's creating the Fantastic Four comic books. And then we get to the next page, and he talks about how that's what my creations do. They find the humanity in God, and there's a phone call between him and Stan Lee, which is fun. And he says that's my collaborator, and Reed's like, "Forgive me if I find it hard to believe that the wellspring of reality is a yellow stick." And he said, "Well, he talks about they have erasers, they're magical things," and he erases the scar on Reed's face. And then he's like, "There's still plenty of stories left in you." And he's like, "Oh, nerd, you got it." He goes, "Yeah, you got to go back in the rock. Sorry." And I like this page a lot. Just the look of they're just all stunned by what just happened. It
So
just
I was with him.
so um let's go on to the next page. And he left them a drawing, and the drawing is them, you know, decades down the road, and they're still out having adventures. It says to be continued. It says he gave us a happy ending. Okay, so this story is a little controversial. I guess I'm fine with it because I read this 20 years ago and I knew what to expect. And I've also read Animal Man by Grant Morrison, which is very similar ending. Have you ever read that?
Uh, no, actually, I haven't.
So, Animal Man at the end of the comics, big spoilers. Um, Crisis on Infinite Earths happen. His family changes. He goes through all these changes, and then I think it's been a while, so I'm probably gonna get some of these facts wrong. But I think his kid gets killed, and then I think his whole family dies, and finally Animal Man just has a breakdown, starts screaming, "Who is doing this to me? Why? What's going on?" And then Grant Morrison appears and starts talking to the audience and saying, "Yeah, it's me. I'm the writer. I'm doing this." And at the end, he fixes everything, but there's just this moment where he breaks the fourth wall and go, "Yeah, I did this, and I did this to him because of this reason, and blah blah blah." And it's kind of a famous comic book where this happened. So that's what this reminds me of, kind of borrowing from that. Um, what are your thoughts?
Um, I did not like this story.
You did not like the story. Okay.
No. I was kind of on board with it, but like if you really, really break down Hereafter, nothing actually happens.
Hmm.
And the I don't know, like the superheroes meeting their creator thing. It's a trope at this point,
Yep.
and I've never liked it.
This
Uh,
is how Spider-Man the animated series ended in the 90s.
I didn't like that either.
It was weird. It was weirder then because it was
Yeah,
just kids at home going, "Oh, by the way, here's Stan Lee, this guy you never heard of." What?
yeah, yeah. I didn't like that then either. I don't know. It's I think Wade was this is what you write when you don't know how to end something, but you want to put the toys back.
It does feel like that. Um, I also think he wanted to do something for Jack Kirby. I feel like a tribute to Jack Kirby, but also, yeah, I get it. I get where you're like,
They're
okay,
like unthinkable, um, authoritative action.
action,
None of this had a hint of this, right? Like this is a different run.
and remember what I said. He supposedly got fired off the book between authoritative action and this story.
Really.
Yeah, and then brought back. So that could have also affected the story. We don't know. So maybe he was rushing to finish up the story. Then they said, "Oh, you get 20 more issues." He's like, "Oh, okay." Because this feels like an ending. Um,
Yeah.
and I don't think the run is ever as good as up this point. I like these three stories myself, and again, I knew what was coming. I knew it was going to be Jack Kirby on the other side of the door. But I get what you're saying, that it's just kind of like, oh, God's just going to fix everything, and it's a Deus Ex Machina moment, and oh yeah, God's
Uh,
your comic book artist creator.
I don't know. I mean, if I would have been fine if God fixed everything. It like it's more of the meta fourth wall breaking, you know?
Yeah.
Like if it was actually just their version of the Judeo-Christian God,
So if it was the one above all, which is in the Marvel universe, has interacted with Spider-Man and other characters before, yeah, if it was the one above all, that would make sense.
yeah, so that I would have been fine with that, but like I don't like
I get it.
erasing his scars with the pencil, like that's a gimmick. This story is a gimmick.
Okay. No, I mean it is fine. I get why people would not like the story. And again, like I said, knowing what was coming, I was fine with it.
Yeah. So here's the thing. This is actually the reason why I said that we should end with Triumph and Torment instead of Triumph and Torment and then this is because this video would have ended on a downer
Oh,
if
I agree. Triumph of Torment is a way better story.
Triumph and Torment, like we'll finish up. Triumph and Torment, like, is one of the greatest Marvel stories I've ever read. But yeah, so that my thoughts on the whole for Mark Waid. Um, I I really do like it. Um, I think that it is not Fantastic Four, and that's probably why I like it. And then Hereafter is probably more of a Fantastic Four story.
Hmm.
Um, so that's probably why I don't.
So I will say this: I have recently read the first 25 issues of Ryan North's run. Ryan North's run's way better than Mark Waid's run. Now that I'm revisiting Mark Waid, like it doesn't even hold a candle to what Ryan North is doing in
Right,
Phase
right.
Four.
But we have also established that, like,
That yeah, you don't like the science adventure fun stories.
yeah,
I know,
right.
I know.
It's not that I don't like fun stories. It's just that, like, it's this science adventure is not my cup of tea.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I think like the next stories, there's a Spider-Man story. Human Torch. Like I think all their powers get flipped around, and then Human Torch has like Invisible Woman's powers, and then he becomes like Herald of Galactus, and then it's all this nonsense. Um, so it's fine.
Science adventure.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so after this is our second time trying to read Fantasy Four on the show. We've read some Stan Lee. Now you've read some Mark Waid. Your opinion on the Fantasy Four? It
uh,
changed any?
a little bit.
Okay.
So this is, if anything, this has been educational.
Mm-hmm.
Because now before this, I actually didn't really know a whole lot about the Fantastic Four. I didn't understand the Fantastic Four. I think I understand the Fantastic Four now, and I get what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now I I'm more informed in my opinion that I'm not a Fantastic Four fan, if that makes sense.
And that's fine
Yeah.
because I'm not an Avengers fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Every time I try to read Avengers, I'm like, oh, okay. It's not like I don't like the characters. I think Captain America and Thor are really cool characters. I just it's just not
Yeah.
my cup of tea,
Yeah.
and that's fine. Um,
I actually, now that I think about it, a lot of team books I struggle with. Maybe I'm not a team book person, but I like X-Men, so makes sense of
yeah,
that.
yeah. Um, so we read this story. So Wade took the team literally through hell and to heaven and back again. So then we decided we were going to read a second story, and this is it's kind of a one shot.
Yeah.
Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange, and Doctor Doom dealing with his mother's damned soul in hell, basically. And I thought the writing in this was far superior than Mark Waid's run. And this felt like a classic old comic. Like this was good stuff.
So it's written by Roger Stern.
Hmm.
Um,
He
well,
wrote Spider-Man, right? For one
yeah.
thing.
So he wrote Spider-Man. He has one of the better Spider-Man runs. Um, this was drawn by Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy.
Yes, it was.
Um, and you know what's something that I found out that, like, did you know who the editor was? Uh,
What year was this? Or was this you talking about the editor in chief or just the editor of this book?
um,
It's probably just the editor of this book. No, I didn't look and see
yeah,
who was it.
Tom DeFalco.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people on this that I like. Also, I said that Roger Stern's got one of the better uh, runs on Spider-Man. I should establish I like the Hobgoblin, so there's that.
Oh yeah. No, the Hobgoblin, those classic stories are really cool.
Um, Tom DeFalco, I love his Peter Parker, his Spider-Man, the actual character, but he got dealt like a bad hand in terms of editorial because he wrote like Maximum Carnage and the Clone Saga.
Well, I'm one of the people that likes the Clone Saga. Maximum Carnage is just garbage.
Yeah,
It is pure garbage.
I would probably like the Clone Saga if they followed through.
I didn't mind it as much as other people. I think Revelations is really good. But we're not here to talk about Revelations right now.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
here to
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about Doctor
yeah,
Doom. So we open with uh, this aged Genghis is telling a story to his acolyte or his servant or whatever. And so we see his flashback of when he met Doom. And we find out this is right after the accident that scarred his face. And I wanted to post these images because this is something that was retroed by John Byrne, and this is how I believe it is. When Doom originally said, "Look how scarred my face is. I'm hideous," he just got a little scar on his face. If you click
yeah,
back, you see the little scar.
yeah.
But because Doom is perfect, he can't have any, you know,
Yep.
scars on him. And that I like this. This
Yes.
was not the original Stan Lee Jack Kirby plan, but I love this. That's how vain Doom is.
Yeah.
And we'll later
Which,
see that when he puts on the metal mask, it was hot and he didn't care, and it burns his face. That's when his face gets all jacked up.
yeah. Um, which I I like this, and so this is like a I'll be talking about the MCU a little bit more in detail in relations to this book
Hmm.
later, but I don't know. I don't see Doctor Doom taking anyone else's face. You know?
Yeah, and I will say this: this felt like I was reading a Doctor Doom story, whereas Mark Waid's character Doctor Doom did not. He felt out of character in some parts,
Yeah, yeah,
and
definitely.
this is Doctor Doom. This is definitely Doctor Doom. Yeah. So go on to the next slide. I don't remember what I threw in here. Um, so we see here where he finds the other monks and they prepare the mask, and this is what's going to burn him.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So the cool thing about this story is you get the story of Doctor Doom and you get Doctor Strange's origin story. You get both of them, and
I,
they don't mention the Fantastic Four at all.
it's great. It's great. No, so no, this is so weird because like I
Uh,
said, we'll get to it.
yeah,
But
there's a gathering of all the sorcerers of the world. The Age Genghis, like he said, like once every 100 years, I become, I guess, sane again, or my brain, you know, is enlightened, or whatever he says. I can't remember. And they gather all the sorcerers for a contest. So we see here all these different sorcerers gathering. And
uh, did you look into this at all? Is this like the introduction of the title of Sorcerer Supreme?
oh no, he's been Sorcerer Supreme a long time before
Uh,
this.
uh, okay, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
Is this the origin of how he becomes Sorcerer Supreme?
I don't think so. Um, but maybe this is, you know, kind of like a test. I saw this more as the story is kind of like a destiny thing, like fate. You know, it needs Doom and Strange to come together, and that's kind of the reason for the contest. Um, but yeah, the the Viskoff and the hoary host of Hogar, whatever it is that Strange always says, they're having a test with all these sorcerers, and a lot of the sorcerers are like, "Oh, he's the sorcerer supreme," and like he has his reputation, but a lot of them are like, he's not the sorcerer supreme, whatever. They don't. They're kind of scoffing at him. But then we see another person arrive at this gathering, and then there's one thing I always forget is that Doom. You can go ahead and flip the next one. This is the Vishanti and all the magic gods that
Yeah,
are
I
here.
honestly, this taught me that I need to read so much. Like I've read some Doctor Strange. I need to read so much more because it didn't even register to me. I'm like, oh, I guess I don't know what Vishanti is.
Yeah, I've got on my shelf like Ollie's had like those Marvel guidebooks they put out, like like Spider-Man Encyclopedia Guide or whatever. I have a Doctor Strange
Uh,
one on my shelf that I flipped through. I'm sure all this stuff is in there. I just haven't really. Yeah, I could learn a lot myself about Doctor
well,
Strange.
and it's weird because like so barring the MCU, um, he's a character in Marvel vs. Capcom 3,
Hmm.
and I it's like there's the Book of Vishanti and all that. His super is called Spell of Vishanti, which is like this big pillar thing. But he has like a whole lot. He's got the Eye of Agamotto as well. Um, but he like there's other special moves that he has, and I'm like, I bet you that these are all like really in-depth ideas that I know nothing about because he's got one called the Bolts of Balthak.
Hmm.
Uh, he's got
I
the
think we
dagger.
saw that in the story somewhere. I think there's what I can't remember the crimson bands. I think is what that is. I'm
He's got
thinking of.
the yeah, and then he's got the daggers of Danak,
Hmm.
flames of the Faltine, uh, and I'm like, oh, I bet you these are stories that I don't know too. So like this really taught me that I've never read The Oath. I've heard The Oath is the best, so I want to read The Oath.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
thought this was a really good one, and I don't hear this one mentioned that often. So
no, I I got to be honest. I am not sure if I have heard of this
until I brought it up.
until you brought it up. I've heard of the like Doctor Doom going to hell to save his mom. I didn't realize that it was a Doctor Doom Doctor Strange story.
Yeah.
Which I'll go ahead. You know what? I've been dancing around it, doing the Lombardo. I'll go ahead and get to it. Um, this taught me that Doctor Doom could be a really cool Doctor Strange arch nemesis.
Hmm.
Um, which kind of upsets me because at this point with the MCU, WandaVision, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, you want to do this whole multiverse story arc? Doctor Strange should have been the center of all of it.
Oh, definitely.
A-
And
And then you want to do like your Doomsday thing, like you make like the rivalry between Strange and Doom the crux of your next saga. Like
well, it's interesting. We're gonna I'm gonna go into big spoilers here for something different. In the Hickman story, which is what they're borrowing from in the MCU, Doctor Strange and Doom basically team up to save the world and create the battle world. They are working together.
okay.
Where Doom is God, but like Doctor Strange is his lieutenant or his sheriff or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know if something similar will happen in the MCU. They borrow from these stories, but they don't follow them directly. So it's hard to say.
Essentially, what I'm saying is the way we treated Tony for the past 10 years. Strange should have been that
Yeah,
for
no,
for
I get
this.
I
Yeah.
get it. I get it. Um, all right. So I'm not sure what slides you've added. But we see that everybody's like Doom's not a sorcerer. and so he removes his gauntlets and he says that deactivated my armor. I will use nothing but magic here.
I I really like this. You know why?
Why is that?
Because the gauntlet is thrown.
Oh,
Yeah, it's so sick. It's so sick. Um,
it's cool because you forget that this is one of the things people forget is that Doom's a sorcerer. He's not just a an apprentice or a learner. He's a very powerful sorcerer.
which is interesting, um, because uh, this kind of gives you the reason why. um,
Yeah, it goes through the whole backstory, and
like like I assume that he did magic before, like he did some magic in what we have just read in the Mark
hmm
Wade run. I assume that that's been a thing the whole time.
hmm
Um, yeah, and so like you were saying, this goes into the backstory, like why does Doctor Strange know all this magic stuff?
yeah,
Why does he even care?
yeah. Why does Doctor Doom have us? Yeah, it's good stuff. Um, so basically, they Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange wins this little competition, but Doctor Doom is the other one that is unaffected by all of it.
Yeah,
Like,
he is a um oh, what's the word? He technically came in second. Like you've got to go through something, and no one else technically completed it except
mhm,
for Doom. So
yeah,
like Strange came in first, and Strange, what was it? Was it a dude in a bubble, and you had to get him out of the bubble or something like that?
it was a crystal. Yeah, a crystal appeared. The aged Genghis was trapped inside the crystal of the Vishanti or whatever they said, and anybody who blasted or attacked it um, was entranced and turned into like a zombie-like creature, and it was spreading like a virus. And Doom was able to avoid the attacks, and Strange figured out that you just had to reach into the crystal and pull the guy out,
Yeah.
and instead of
Well,
attacking.
yeah, and he said, "Will you come out?" Like I think the wording is uh you have to be not kind, but like humane or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Um,
Polite, I think was the word actually. Now that I
yeah, yeah, yeah. But basically, he gets to ask. This is where he gets to ask for a favor from Strange. Is that what it is?
Yes, so the Sorcerer Supreme has to give second place a boon.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what a boon is just like you said, a favor.
Mm-hmm.
And Strange was like, there's no way that I'm gonna help this guy take over the world. That is, you
Yeah.
can't expect me to do that. And then Doom's like, that's not what I want.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually very interesting because we were just talking about uh, how Johnny didn't want babes. He wanted to spend more time with his parents.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, Doom, all he wants is Strange's help to go into hell and save his mother's soul.
And there's this great line where he's like, Doctor Strange's like, "Why didn't you just ask me?" Doom's like,
Doom,
"Doom." Go
Doom
ahead.
does not beg.
It's so good.
I'm getting it pulled up right now, um,
Yeah.
because I mean, it is a,
Uh,
it's just it is so Doom.
Yeah. So while you're pulling that up, I'll talk about Boris. Boris is a character that I think pops up a lot in the old comics and in John Byrne's run and stuff. He's been like kind of like a family guardian, like a guardian of Doom. When Doom's dad died, he helped raise him and stuff. An old family friend, and so he's kind of recanting. He's kind of recounting Doom's story, And so when he tells it, there's no mention of Reed at all, which I thought was so cool. Like if this was the only story you've ever read of Doctor Doom, you'd be like, "What's the deal with the Fantastic Four? I don't get it." There's just no mention of them. Um, but we see like the family history of Doom. Yeah, so here's the scene. I like the
Uh,
fireplace.
I will bear any ordeal, strange, but doom does not beg. Good night. It's so good. Oh man,
Yeah.
this is
Yeah. Doom is one of those characters that's so easy to get wrong, but when you get it right, you just know it and you're like, "Oh, that's it. That's perfect. That you got it."
it
You
it
know?
it, it almost makes me want to like I don't know, like I'm trying to think who the imagine if imagine if John Constantine helped Lex Luthor save his sister from hell. You know,
Mhm.
you'd write this the same exact way. Lex Luthor does not beg.
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Which is why when we read, Unthinkable and he's begging in hell for Reed to save him, that's not Doom.
yeah, yeah. Not just it's because I think back then we talked about oh, he would never beg Reed for help. He would never do that. No, he just wouldn't beg in general.
Yeah. I think he would have accepted his fate and just been like, he may have tried to take Reed with him, but he would have, yeah. Anyhow, let's focus back on this story.
Yeah.
So we get a retelling of Doom's life. Um, I think this might be the part where we find out about his mom. How
Yes, yes. So
I
it
can't remember her name. I guess is it Cynthia?
I think so.
Yeah. So when Doom was very young, like a baby, they were worried that the Latvian Empire or whatever it was going to hunt down and kill all the gypsies. So she was um, messing with dark spirits she should not be messing with and summoned Mephisto.
I didn't take it as that actually.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think she intentionally summoned Mephisto. I think she was trying to like use magic to figure out how to um 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 like how to help, how to save it. And then Mephisto just appears
Hmm.
because
And
if we're talking about we've been talking about how Doom does not beg,
mhm,
you do not summon Mephisto. You know,
right.
Mephisto he comes to you with a horrible deal, and 9 times out of 10, you take it.
Yeah. And I I found this way more believable than what's the stupid Spider-Man story? One
One
More
more
Day.
day.
Yeah, like that it doesn't work there, but here it works perfectly that, I will make your son a great ruler, you know, all this
Yeah,
stuff that he's promising her.
I
And
mean, I'll be honest. Like, if we're talking about just horrible stories, I believe Doom begging over one more day. Like
yeah,
that's just how bad one more day is.
yeah, yeah. Um so she goes and confronts the guardsman and her spell just starts killing everybody and she's freaking out and she gets stabbed and she runs off
Mm,
to the gypsies and she dies in her husband's arms.
yeah, and that's part of the reason why I like to think that she didn't summon Mephisto. Mephisto came to her. I think this works a lot better if she is unaware of anything. You know, like because if she summons Mephisto, if she wants the that power, man, she deserves hell. You know, uh,
Yeah, okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Um, and this is great because you make a deal with the devil, it never goes right unless it's one more day. Because then you
Unless you're
get your
Spider-Man.
friend, you get your best friend back, your aunt survives, and you still get to date the woman you had to break up with. It's great, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so, uh, anyhow, uh, that's the last time we're gonna mention one more day. Okay, let's move on. Um,
Hey, what's funny is One More Day is like the worst Mephisto story ever. This might be the best Mephisto story I've ever read.
yeah, I need to read the classic Silver Surfer stories where he was introduced, but I think you may be right.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, oh, that's right. He was introduced because he's
because Silver Surfer is the Christ figure, and Mephisto is the devil figure. Yes.
well, not I mean not just that, but he was also wasn't he the representative of death in Infinity Gauntlet?
In the original Infinity Gauntlet, or the stories leading up to it, because death is death. Death is in Infinity Gauntlet. Mephisto is like just the devil whispering in Thanos' ear the whole time.
No, whenever I say the representative of death, like death is death, but like Mephisto's there, and like whenever Death won't talk to Thanos,
Oh, he.
Isn't it Mephisto that says, "Oh, you're unworthy of talking to Death," and then once he finally gets the Infinity Gauntlet and becomes a god,
I
he
thought,
says
and it's been a while. I think Death had some servants that said that, and then Thanos killed the servants.
that that might be it, but wasn't Mephisto involved somehow?
Oh yeah, he's involved throughout the whole thing. He's there. He is temptation whispering in Thanos' ear the whole time.
Okay,
Yeah,
but anyway, just to finish the thought, um, why won't she talk to me now? Because she is unworthy of talking to you. And then yes,
yeah.
I do believe it is just someone that and Thanos kills them.
And then that may be at that point. Then it is Mephisto that says it. I think. I think you may be right. Um. Anyhow, man, Infinity Gauntlet's so good. See, now you got me wanting to read that. Um. We see that there's a trunk full of all of uh, Cynthia's magic, and they keep trying to get rid of the trunk. It's like the cat that comes back. They cannot get rid of it, no matter what they do.
It's the wind up monkey with a.
Yes.
I want to see that. That looks so good.
It yeah, they no matter what they do, it is part of their life. And then once the dad dies, Victor, opens the trunk and discovers magic and starts tapping into everything. It becomes a powerful sorcerer. Um, there is a great, and I sent you the link to it last night. Story. If you want to read more of this, the Books of Doom by Ed Brubaker goes into the whole story about the dad and
Yes,
everything.
I did not respond. I did a D&D session last night. I was teaching my friends D&D, so I didn't get to respond.
Hmm.
Uh, I read Books of Doom around the time Marvel vs. Capcom 3 came out. So
Hmm.
in combination with Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and Books of Doom is why I'm a Doctor Doom fan.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, in fact, I remember my original pitch for because I here's the thing, I still wasn't if I love Doctor Doom but even back then I was like I don't get Fantastic Four, I don't understand them. So my original pitch for a an Iron Man 4 was Iron Man Books of Doom.
Yeah.
Uh, like just kind of do that with Iron Man. Uh, and I even had a director for it. I was like, oh, this would be cool if Mel Gibson directed it. Like. um, but yeah, no. I didn't get to respond, but yeah, I love Books of Doom.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so we get the whole story, the backstory of how Doom became Doom. We're gonna speed this up a little bit. So they go into hell. They're confronted by Mephisto, and then Mephisto splits them up, and Doctor Strange is stuck in like a um it's basically a trap where he's seeing visions of before he was Doctor Strange, and he's a surgeon, and he's like being tempted to stay in this life, where he had everything, and he's like this, and he keeps saying this is wrong. There's something wrong here.
Yeah.
And then he finally breaks free and realizes this is all an illusion. And again, this is the devil being tempted by the devil is happening again. And so Doctor Doom gets tempted by the devil, by Mephisto, into betraying Doctor Strange. And um, he Doom agrees, but spoilers, he's going to betray Mephisto. And but we see the mom is like Cynthia's when she sees what Doom has become and that he has sold out the world and for Mephisto and everything, she wants nothing to do with Doom. And this next part is a little weird. You want to go into what happens?
What's that?
This next part's a little crazy, and I don't quite remember everything that happened here. You want to go in the next part because they uh, Doom betrays Strange, and then they open the protective energy shield, and I guess it's the mom uh, renouncing evil is what defeats Mephisto. Is that what it was?
Oh, so yeah. Now that you mention it, I'm not exactly sure what happened there either.
From what I understand, because she renounced the evil that her son had become, she renounced all of it. And,
Yeah,
was like,
I think the wording is she refuses to be party to a betrayal.
yeah.
Is her wording?
And
Uh,
so because she was now an innocent soul, it corrupted Mephisto, and he had to release her because he cannot stand to be near something that was forgiven or innocent or was rejecting him. It's kind of the way I understood it.
he okay. No, wait, no. She turns back into stone
Hmm.
after she refuses to be party to betrayal.
Yeah.
And so Strange and Doom are fighting Mephisto. Um, and so I guess I guess the stone was not necessarily. It was more like a shell that
Hmm.
held her soul.
Hmm.
Um, and
I'm gonna pull up the
yeah,
comic book while we're talking.
yeah. Uh, okay. Yes. No. Because I've got it in front of me as well. So she rejects Doom. Uh, you know, does not want to be a part of the betrayal. And in doing so, this purifies her soul.
Hmm. Just a rejection of
Yeah.
evil that she wants nothing to
Yes.
do with any of it.
And so then, by breaking the stone shell that encased her soul,
Hmm.
uh, that's what Strange does. Um,
It
Mephisto's not
weakens,
able.
yeah, Mephisto because he can't draw on that deal anymore with the power, and so
Yeah,
he has to release her.
and so he releases her. But I also think that it, the actual energy of the pure soul, like kryptonite, weakens him as well.
Hmm. Yes, that's the way I was taking it. So then the soul is released up into heaven, and then Doom and Strange leave, and then um, it's kind of like Doom's like, that is all. I don't need anything else from you, Strange. And it's kind of a bittersweet ending because the mom did reject Doom, but that doesn't matter to Doom. What matters is that she's free now. You know, even if she hates him. It's the way I kind of took it.
Yeah, and then um, Doom says, "I need no one."
Yes.
I have achieved that which I have sought. My mother's soul is at last free. And then Strange says, yes, but only at the cost of her love. Or did you make that sacrifice knowingly?
It's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
It's really good.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what would be like really cool if they so I the Doom and Strange making Battle World. Um is that Secret Wars?
Yes.
Let's say they could
Well,
you
it's it's
could
Doom, Strange, and Molecule Man technically that make it.
well,
Makes
yeah.
sense.
I mean Molecule Man's just overpowered, of course. Uh I like to compare Molecule Man to Psycho Pirate because Psycho Pirate is kind of like what Molecule Man is in Secret Wars, but in Crisis on Infinite Earths. um but uh could you imagine this like they won't do this. Or maybe they will. But imagine no, because see this whole Tony Doom thing messes with my
It messes
theories.
everything up. Yes,
Yeah,
I agree.
but
But
like imagine this. Imagine this is your Doctor Strange 3 that leads right into Doomsday.
yeah, it. I know what Doctor Strange 3 is going to be. It's not going to be this, sadly. So Doctor
Is it
Strange 3
it's
is going to
Dormammu,
be,
right?
yeah, it's going to be the incursions and the universes colliding and him dealing with that, and probably Dormammu. So I mean, I'm sure maybe Doom will show up some. I don't know. But yeah. So let's ignore that for a minute. This story by itself, though, this is great.
Oh, it's
This is one of
phenomenal.
those classic Marvel must-read milestone stories. Like I put this up there of like X-Men, God loves, man kills. Like those stories you have to read.
Daredevil Born Again.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, we were at Barnes and Noble the other day. Have you
Uh,
seen these new reprints of famous Marvel stories that are in the style of those Penguin Select books?
yes, I have.
Those look those look so cool. And I don't know
Yeah.
if this belongs in that collection.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is like if you're essential stories. I mean, this one, the story of at Red Skull, the Cosmic Cube, and Captain America, and all that. You have this and X Men, God Loves Man Kills, and yeah,
Daredevil
yeah,
Born Again.
yeah. Those essential stories, and yeah. So this is great. Really enjoyed it. It's fun seeing Doctor Doom deal with other people. I know there's some classic Doctor Doom Iron Man stories. I've never read them because I'm not an Iron Man fan, but maybe we'll visit those one day. Um, but yeah, um, that was our look at Mark Waid's Fantastic Four and Doctor Strange Torment.
um,
I liked the little Mark Waid trilogy we read, but I get why people have issues with it, and
I
I think
like
there's better Fantastic Four stories out there.
I really liked um the duology of unthinkable and
Authoritative action.
authoritative action.
Yeah,
It's just
it fell apart at Hereafter, which is how
yes.
most movie trilogies go. The first two parts are great, and then the third one just falls apart.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Um,
stick the landing. Um,
yeah.
and
I
then
almost want to get you to read. Have you ever read uh Brubaker's Captain America or Bendis's Daredevil?
yes and yes, but I don't know if I've ever finished either of them.
Okay.
I've
Um
definitely read. I read quite a bit of Bendis's Daredevil, and then
uh,
quite a bit of Brubaker. Yeah,
um because like I almost want to like because they're those are very similar in like uh they kind of they completely changed the status quo of like so they kill Kingpin, they kill Red Skull.
mm.
I almost want to compare those to this and be like, so this is how you can do it without going Deus Ex meta, you know?
Yeah. He kind of wrote himself in a corner there at the end, but
Yeah.
all right. So what's up next for the comic book reading club? We do this every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about the Red Hulk, and
Hmm.
we're gonna look at his first appearances. We haven't quite figured out exactly what issues those are yet, but we will be
Yeah.
figuring that out this week. But for next week is they're doing the 50th anniversary for Saturday Night Live, and this was kind of a happy coincidence. We're going to be watching the Saturday night movie that came out last year. It's on
Mhm.
Netflix,
Yep. And
and
we
reviewing that.
100% intended. We are pros at this.
Yes, yes, we planned it out months ago. Um, and then we'll also probably talk about our favorite Saturday Night Live skits, cast members and hosts and that sort of thing. So
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll have to start putting all that together. Like, we'll come up because we don't want to go too. I could talk Saturday Night Live all day because there's so many
yeah,
good
we'll probably do
sketches. We'll
like
have
each like a top three or top five each or something.
yeah,
I think a top 10 we'd get carried away. So
yeah. Maybe we can go like our favorite from each era, but then like some eras are better than other. We'll figure it all out.
yeah, yeah. I'm thinking top five cast members, maybe top three favorite skits, and maybe your favorite host.
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Uh, musical guest and all that because musical guests those are always important as well. Like you got Ashley Simpson. I mean, come on,
yeah.
that's
Ashley
cl-
Simpson and
classic.
oh, I can't think of her name. The bald singer that tore up the picture of the Pope on Saturday Night Live.
Oh, jeez, who was that?
You know what I'm talking about
I
though.
know exactly who you're talking about. I can't remember who it
She
was
just
though.
passed away, and I can't think of her name. That's all right. I'm sure everybody at home screaming. All right.
Yeah,
Anyhow, that will be next week. Sinead O'Connor. Thank you.
that that's who it was. Yes,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So join us next week for our look at Saturday Night Live, and then be back here in 2 weeks for the Red Hulk by Jeff Loeb, and we'll see if it's any good. Neither of us have read it, so it'll be a fun little adventure. But until then, I'm Final Monkey.
and I'm Caleb.
We'll catch you next time in the Shark Pond.
See ya.